Here are times we felt sorry for the Simpsons characters. Bart's troubles at the beginning of school were overshadowed by Lisa's bright intellect. Lisa's sax starts with Bart ruining Lisa's saxophone, and Homer begins to tell the story of how Lisa first got it. The story begins on Bart's first day at school.
Look, Mama! Oh, honey, I can't right now. Bart's gonna be late.
No wonder she developed second child behavior so quickly. Homer wants to give Bart some advice for his first day at school, but all he has are traumatic memories of what Abe used to tell him, like take a ride from a strange man, cause that'll take him off Abe's hands.
Lousy traumatic childhood.
It is, for sure. We see Bart leave for school all happy and enthusiastic. I wonder, where did that enthusiasm go?
You understand English?
Maybe it was all that yelling. When he got back from school, he didn't seem that happy anymore.
Hi, honey. How was your first day of school?
Marge continued the story, saying no matter how hard he tried, he just couldn't fit in.
D-E. Line.
F, Bart. And believe me, you'll be seeing plenty of them.
How about some encouragement? Marge tried making Bart feel better by asking him if he wanted to color something.
I did.
That's disturbing. Marge shows Homer Bart's drawing, and at first he doesn't take a good look at it and says it's amazing and they should put it on the fridge. But upon taking a closer look,
Burn it! Send it to hell!
Think we're going to have to get Bart some help.
Get it away.
they take Bart to the school's psychiatrist and he begins to tell them a few things about Bart's condition. And then he sees Lisa doing a puzzle that's rather demanding for her age.
I believe your Lisa may be gifted.
Marge says that that's very nice, but she still wants to get Bart some help.
Marge, he's 5. His life is over. Lisa's the wave of the future.
Wow, they should really go to some parenting classes. Because boy, they'll just ruin those children. The psychiatrist gives them an address for a good preschool, but it's too expensive for them.
Come on, honey. I guess this is a world you'll never know.
Isn't that the truth? Homer goes to say that this was one of the worst crises their family ever went through. Bart was miserable at school and Lisa's gifts were going to waste. But then the kids correct him, saying the crisis is still at large. Bart is still miserable, and Lisa's gifts are still going to waste.
And sometimes I feel so smothered by this family, I just want to scream till my lungs explode.
I was gonna say that this episode is mainly focused on how bad we should feel for Bart, but I can't help feeling bad for all of them. If things weren't already bad, Springfield was suffering its biggest heat wave so far, and the Simpsons didn't have an air conditioner. Marge suggested that they should encourage Lisa in some other way, like ballet or an art class.
There's that $200 we've been saving for the new air conditioner.
Homer is horrified, saying they had that money saved up for the air conditioner. You gotta sacrifice something. Like Bart's future, for example, because suddenly he's out of focus. Bart still had troubles in school.
So you see, children, there is hope for anyone.
Even me?
No.
How do these people get jobs at school? It never ceases to amaze me. Then Bart meets Milhouse and he finds him really interesting. He starts making him laugh, and Milhouse gives him a compliment that will alter Bart's life forever.
You're funny. I am? Yeah. And the world needs a clown.
And that's how Bart chose his life path. He began to make other kids laugh too, but when Skinner heard jokes about him, he scolded Bart and said that the path he chooses now may be the one he follows for the rest of his life.
Now, what do you say?
Eat my shorts.
Ah, the beginning of Eat My Shorts. Homer and Lisa were taking a walk when Homer saw an air conditioner for $200. But at the same time, Lisa saw a music store and they went in.
What do you like, Lisa? Ooh, saxophone.
Maybe he needs a few lessons. Homer sees that the sax costs the same as the air conditioner, but the look on Lisa's face was priceless, so he got it for her.
To Lisa, never forget your daddy loves.
Because Daddy really loves to dough. And in the end, Lisa got a sax. A way to get a better future, and Bart was forgotten about. Nothing changed 3 years later. Just take a look at her aunt, Selma. Selma is in desperate need for a man, but things come crashing down when her dream man chooses Patty over her. Principled Charming starts with Selma asking Marge to find her a man, because she's been single for too long.
I'm getting older, fatter, and uglier. Please, Marge, help me find a man.
Poor Selma, she's such a catch. If you squint at the smoking and bad attitude. Marge tells Homer that he must find Selma a man, and a good man at that.
Caring and well off and handsome.
Hey, why should she have a better husband than you do?
Well, maybe you should work on that. Homer goes on a quest to find Selma a good man.
Must find man. Must find man. boy, a good man really is hard to find.
Why'd you think Selma was single? While Homer was conducting his search, Bart got in trouble at school and Skinner called Homer for a talk. As Skinner was explaining what Bart did, Homer began to scan him and turns out he's quite the catch. Homer asks Principal Skinner if he's married.
Only to my job.
But if you weren't married to your job, you tend to go for a girl.
Not just any girl, an older woman is what he prefers. Mama's boy. Homer asks Skinner to come over for dinner so he can meet Selma. But things don't go as planned.
Here we go, boy meets beast.
Well, with that look on her face, he isn't too far off. Homer accidentally introduces Patty as Selma. After 10 years of being married to Marge and God knows how many of them dating, he still can't tell them apart.
Available, Sister Selma.
Hey, Tubbs, I'm Patty.
What?
Patty.
Skinner immediately falls for Patty, but she doesn't seem too interested in him. Selma tries her best to get Skinner's attention, but he has eyes for Patty only. He even asks her to go on a date, and she tries to reject him, but Selma insists that Patty will go.
Your first date in 25 years is a little more important than playing hearts with Mother. I tried to repel him.
But how can someone resist that raspy voice? Skinner picks Patty up and they go on a date. She tries to repel him in any way she can, but he is smitten.
So far, the evening is a big disappointment.
Indeed. Truly terrible.
It doesn't seem like it's disappointing to him. Meanwhile, Selma is at Marge's and she's feeling really down.
She's always been the lucky one. 2 minutes younger. Skin like a China doll.
But you're twins. Literally, they look exactly the same. Skinner takes Patty home and they arrange for another date, but Selma wants to know all the details.
The movie was awful and he didn't get anything. Now, good night.
She won't admit that they did have some fun. After the second date, Selma saw them kissing, and she felt even more depressed than before. Skinner tells Bart that he plans to ask Patty to marry him. Geez, does he work fast or what? They've been on 2 dates.
Your funeral, Seymour.
Homer is desperately trying to find a date for Selma, and the only person who's interested...
Wheel her in, Homer. I'm not a picky man.
Come on, Homer. Selma can do so much better than that. Skinner takes Bart to help him with the ring shopping.
I can't afford that. I'm an educator.
Seymour.
I'll take it.
Good man. Bart tells Selma that Skinner is planning to propose to Patty, and if you've never seen a woman ready to end it all, you have now.
Thanks, kid. You made my day.
Poor Selma. Selma decides that she can't mope around all day, and she has to take what the world has to offer, even if that's Barney.
Why you all dolled up? It's time to give away my love like so much cheap wine.
Somebody stop her. That same night, Patty goes out with Skinner and he proposes to her. She's shocked, but something is bugging her. Patty tells Skinner that it's not that she doesn't love him.
You love me!
Keep your pants on, schoolboy.
And the only man I could marry would have to understand.
That you couldn't leave your sister for any man. Oh.
He understood that this was the end and he backed off. Maybe he's not so bad after all.
Farewell, my patty cake.
Good night, sweet principal.
Poor Skinner, but I'm not worried he'll find happiness in a hug from his mother. Patty came to rescue Selma from her bad date.
Are you throwing away your last chance at happiness just for me? Yes. Oh, thanks.
There's nothing stronger than sisterly love. Family is everything, but when you have one parent missing, there's a void in your life that just can't be filled. Thankfully, that void is about to be filled for Homer. Homer's mom comes to Springfield and finally explains the story behind her disappearance. Mother Simpson opens when Homer pulls a prank on everyone to get out of work, the prank being faking his death. This causes some problems. Inevitably, Patty and Selma pay for his tombstone, and instead of disposing it, they place it at the cemetery. Homer went to the cemetery to pay his mom a visit, but he sees that the grave Abe told him about wasn't actually his mom's.
Maybe it's that other grave. The one that says Simpson.
But Homer, being Homer, falls into the grave, and a woman starts yelling at him.
Get out of my son's grave!
I hate to rain on your parade, lady, but this is my grave.
Come on, connect the dots. I'll wait.
Homer,
I thought you were dead.
I thought you were dead.
Well, nobody's dead. There are far too many living people in this cemetery. When Homer asked her where she was all these years, she quickly changed the subject and said it was a complicated story. Homer brings her mom home to meet his kids and Marge.
I finally have a mother-in-law. No more living vicariously through my girlfriend.
What girlfriends? Homer is over the moon having his mom around after almost 30 years.
Oh, I've missed moments like this. Mom?
He's a real mama's boy, crying for attention.
Hey, Mom! Look at me! Look at what I can do!
I see you, Homer. That's very nice.
How about paying more attention to the child you abandoned for some reason? As she was talking to Lisa, she suddenly sprinted inside the house. Lisa found this weird and she talked to Bart about it, and he showed her something strange. Bart says he was going through her purse and...
Look what I around. Mona Stevens, Martha Stewart, Penelope Olsen.
I see Mona is a con artist. Marge hates to break Homer's heart, especially in moments like these.
I'm so glad to have my mom back. I never realized how much I missed her.
Poor Homer, his heart is about to be crushed. Marge says that he shouldn't get so excited because Mona might abandon him again. After all, he doesn't even know why she left in the first place.
I guess I was just a horrible son and no mother would want me.
Ah, that'll break your heart. So the whole family gangs up on her and demands answers. She explains that she suddenly felt a wave of rebellion and change, and it took her to the state college where she began her fight against evil. She explained that the evil was Montgomery Burns.
Drastic action had to be taken to stop his war machine.
And she, a woman with a young son, had to be on the front lines. Not very motherly of her. One night, she and her buddies broke into Burns' laboratory and ruined his killer germs. But on the way out, they trampled him and she had to check if he was okay.
You just made a very big mistake. You'll spend the rest of your life in prison.
My asthma's gone.
He didn't finish that sentence, but it did end Mona's life.
My life as I knew it was over.
The police were onto her and she had to run, leaving her family behind. Homer asks her why didn't she ever try to contact him, and she said that she sent him packages every week. He didn't believe her, so they went to the post office together where Mr. Burns spotted and recognized her. The man asks Mr. Burns if he's sure that the woman he saw at the post office is the same one from many years ago.
Absolutely. Who could forget such a monstrous visage?
Monstrous? I thought she had quite a face. Unlike him. The police track Mona down by the tombstone she went to visit, and they quickly connected her to Homer. Homer tells his mom there's nothing to be concerned about.
But could you take one last look at the family and join me in the kitchen?
Uh-oh. They manage to escape, but Homer doesn't understand. Why did the guy tip them off?
Because of your old lady that I got rid of the asthma that was keeping me out of the academy.
I guess Wiggum is more capable than we give him credit for. Homer and Mona have their last goodbye, and be ready, because it's a tearjerker.
At least this time I'm awake for your goodbye.
You have a mother, and she's truly proud of you.
No tears rolling down my cheeks.
Don't forget me.
Don't worry, Homer. You'll always be a part of me.
Like mother, like son. A loss of a loved one will leave a scar, especially on a child. And losing a pet is a pain that never really goes away. Let's hope Bart doesn't have to feel it on his own skin. Santa's little helper gets sick, and Bart tries to convince his parents to get the money for the surgery. Dog of Death starts with Springfield being in a lottery craze. Everybody's buying tickets because the jackpot is up to $130 million. Homer calls Bart to give him some lucky numbers.
And what's your birthday? No kidding. And what's Lisa's birthday?
Homer is surprised that Bart doesn't know Lisa's birthday. And you don't know your children's birthdays. How about that? Everyone was so focused on the lottery, nobody seemed to notice that the whole time Santa's little helper wasn't feeling so good.
Hey, down in front.
He's literally taking his last breath. Upon seeing that they won absolutely nothing, they finally noticed that the dog is sick.
He is dead. I'll get a shovel.
Well, he's not dead, but he is awfully sick.
You think? They take him to the vet and he tells them that Santa's little helper needs a surgery or he'll die. Unfortunately, the surgery costs $750.
Well, I guess we'll have to talk it over.
Talk what over? What's there to talk about?
Oh, Bart, you're gonna have to learn the hard truth.
When's the dog going to get his operation?
Later.
They're young, but not stupid. Bart realizes that his parents can't afford the surgery, but he won't let his dog die.
You're not gonna let our dog die. Lousy dog-killing son of a...
Homer says they'll just get Bart a new dog, but then he looks at Santa, and he just can't take his puppy dog eyes.
All right, we'll find a way. Lousy manipulative dog.
Better start coming up with ways to pay for that surgery. Homer tries to get Mr. Burns to pay for the surgery and even learn how to do the surgery himself.
You are not going to perform that operation yourself.
But Marge, it looks so easy.
Cutting open a dog's stomach looks easy. Marge finds a way to get the money. She says they'll all need to cut back on some stuff in order to make it work. Homer will have to give up beer for a while. Marge won't buy her lottery tickets. Bart will have to get his hair cut at a different salon. Lisa won't be able to buy her encyclopedia from the grocery store.
Maggie's baby clothes will have to last for a little longer.
And I don't think that'll work for much longer. Santa's little helper gets the surgery and he's out of the woods now, but the Simpsons ain't doing so well.
Lousy chub night. Hey, how come he gets meat and we don't?
Well, for starters, he only eats meat. Later, the news announces the winning numbers for this week's jackpot.
Those are my numbers. If it wasn't for that dog, I would have won.
Come on, people, it's not the dog's fault he got sick.
I know you can't understand me, but you're a lousy dog and I hate you.
Well, you could have let him die, but you didn't. Stick to your decisions, people. That night, nobody closed the gate, so Santa's little helper got out and escaped. He got picked up by the dog shelter, and luckily, a man had a desperate need for a new dog.
Wiry, fast, firm, proud buttocks. Reminds me of me.
They do look awfully similar. Mr. Burns tries to teach the dog to behave like his other hounds.
As an attack dog, you'll be expected to neutralize intruders.
But Santa is too friendly, so Mr. Burns shows him a video that will make him into a vicious killer. And when that doesn't do the trick, he kicks him repeatedly until he went nuts.
Excellent.
Bart went around town searching for his dog and got to Mr. Burns, who ordered Smithers to release the hounds.
Santa's little helper, it's you!
Santa and the hounds chase Bart into a corner.
What's the matter, boy? Don't you know me? I'm your buddy!
I don't think Santa's in the mood for a buddy. But Bart's voice made him remember, and he saved him from the other hounds. Bart returned home, and everybody was happy again.
I want to pet him again.
You can pet the cat.
The cat? What's the point?
Oh, you'll be crying when the cat escapes. Losing a beloved pet is just heartbreaking, but losing a spouse would hurt even more, so Homer, you better watch out. Homer realizes he's attracted to a new coworker, and he tries to control his urges, but he isn't doing so well. The last temptation of Homer starts when Mr. Burns is forced to hire a woman, so he does just that, and a hot woman.
Hi.
Homer, what's the matter?
I think someone's attracted to another woman.
What the hell was that?
That was you having unholy thoughts about someone other than your wife. Homer begins to think about Mindy a lot, and not only does he think about her, he talks about her too. Homer asks his friends what they think of Mindy.
Seems okay. Anybody see the game last night?
That Mindy seems real nice.
Don't give in and everything will be okay. Homer realizes what's going on, and he asks Moe for some advice.
Your infatuation is based on a physical attraction.
Barney says that when he talks to her, he'll realize they have nothing in common. Wow, that was really insightful. I didn't think Barney had it in him. Homer tries to talk to Mindy and see how little they have in common, but turns out they have a lot more in common than he thought.
Do you know what I hate? Drinking beer and watching TV.
That's my idea of heaven.
And then she says she's gonna go and sneak a nap before lunch.
Foul temptress.
Just resist the temptation then, it's not that hard. Ignore the woman. Homer manages to go the whole day without seeing Mindy, but then they share an elevator ride.
Think on sexy thoughts, think on sexy thoughts, think on sexy thoughts.
Wow, that'll work.
Think on sexy thoughts, think on sexy thoughts.
Oh, I guess the attraction is mutual. I just can't help feel sad for Marge. Homer comes back home, and actually he was looking forward to it, because he thought that when he sees his family, he'll realize he doesn't need anything else in his life.
Hi, Homer. Don't kiss me. I'm all stuffed up.
Well, that's not her best look. But Homer's still having a hard time, because everywhere he looked, there were temptations. So he called a hotline for when you're attracted to other women. He confesses that he's tempted by another woman.
Homer Simpson? That's a dilly of a pickle. Hey, let's conference you with Marge, huh?
Who thought that was a good idea? Homer is determined to put a stop to his attraction. So he decides to speak to Mindy and tell her the truth. They can't be friends because of their undenied attraction to each other.
Mindy, because of our uncontrollable attraction, I think we should avoid each other from now on.
Okay, that seems reasonable. But he was sweating too much, so the whole note got smeared and he couldn't say a thing. But while he was trying to, Mr. Burns saw him and Mindy talking and decided to send them together on a seminar. They're now going to spend 2 nights in glamorous capital city.
This is the worst crisis my marriage has ever faced.
Well, bye-bye Marge and hello Mindy. They get to the hotel and, well, they're really close.
If it weren't for this wall, we'd be sleeping in the same bed.
Yeah.
Homer says walls are necessary in today's society. Yes, and so are boundaries. But no one seems to respect those. They order room service, and since they're both pigs, they eat almost everything on the menu. Almost.
Foot-long chili dog.
No, they can't.
It's a sign!
Yes, Homer. Yes, it is. And you should listen to it. Homer and Mindy get rewarded a romantic dinner at one of the sexiest Chinese restaurants. And, well...
You will find happiness with a new love. Oh, even the Chinese are against me.
The choice is still yours. Think of Marge. Poor Marge, alone at home with the kids. The two get back to the hotel and Homer starts crying. When Mindy asked him what's wrong, he said,
We're gonna have sex.
Well, we don't have to.
Yes, we do. The cookie told me.
Is he okay? Mindy tells Homer that he doesn't need to do anything he doesn't want to, but he isn't sure what he wants.
Well, maybe I want to. But then I think about Marge and the kids.
The two share a kiss, and Homer committed adultery. But then...
Oh, baby.
This was a wonderful idea, homie.
Marge.
Well, you have to admit, Homer does love Marge, but sometimes I just can't help but feel sorry for her. We all have to give up our temptations and sacrifice something we love for a greater cause, like Bart sacrificing having fun. Bart is threatened to be held back in 4th grade, so he needs to study real hard in order to pass. Bart gets an F, opens with Mrs. Krabappel telling Bart that his grades are getting worse, and he should start studying ASAP.
Are you aware that there is a major exam tomorrow on colonial America?
Yes, ma'am.
I don't think he's gonna remember anything she said. Bart spent the whole day messing around and not studying, so he finally hit the books that evening.
Their destination was... The little tiger tries so hard. Why does he keep failing?
Because this is the first time he actually sat down and opened a book. The next morning, Bart realized he fell asleep and didn't learn anything, so he's freaking out. Bart asks Otto if he can just crash the bus.
Sorry, little buddy. Can't do it on purpose. But hey, maybe you'll get lucky.
That's something all of us had hoped for at least once in our life. But Bart's brain works best in a crisis, so he pretends he's sick and goes to the nurse, and she was probably just like Bart in her school days.
Do you feel a shooting pain in your arm?
Both arms, ma'am.
Temporary loss of vision?
Who said that?
Okay, Bart, you win this one. But this luck won't follow you forever. Instead of using this extra time to actually prepare for the test, Bart just called Milhouse to give him the answers, so when he went back to school, he was sure he was gonna pass.
You'll be pleasantly surprised.
This test is worse than Milhouse's.
Mrs. Krabappel called Bart's parents and the school psychiatrist, and he suggested Bart should be held back in 4th grade.
I swear I'm gonna do better. Look at my eyes. See the sincerity? See the conviction? See the fear?
All I see is a kid who's full of it. But let's say we do believe Bart this time. Bart realizes he won't be able to prepare for the test on his own, so he asks Martin for help, and in exchange, he'll teach him to be cool, or at least less uncool.
Let's have a look-see at your study area. Study area?
Oh, Martin, you're in for a surprise.
There's a desk under that junk.
Or there was. Martin helps Bart study, but Bart's help to Martin works a bit too well.
Now, the big test is tomorrow. Who cares about some test? Life's too short for tests.
So, Bart's on his own. He tries to study, but ultimately he realizes this is the end of the road. So he turns to a higher power.
I just need one more day to study, Lord.
Prayer, the last refuge of a scoundrel.
Ah, don't judge him. All of us did it at some point. The next morning, Bart woke up to see that the whole town was snowed in. Bart almost ran out to play, but then Lisa stopped him and reminded him that he prayed for this.
And you owe him big.
I asked for a miracle and I got it. I gotta study, man.
The words no one would thought would come out of Bart's mouth. He tries to study, but his eyes wander outside to everyone having fun in the snow, so Bart locks himself in the basement.
Do you want to be held back a grade? Concentrate, man.
Now that's dedication. The next day he takes the test and he gets an F.
I would think you'd be used to failing.
No, you don't understand. I really tried this time.
Oh, well I was gonna make a joke, but that's really sad.
This is as good as I can do, and I still failed.
Bart says that he shouldn't have kid himself. He really is a failure.
Now I know how George Washington felt when he surrendered Fort Necessity to the French in 1754.
Well, at least he learned something. But this little piece of information was enough to make Mrs. Krabappel to raise Bart's grade and let him pass.
You mean I passed?
Just barely.
I passed! I got a D-.
Now that just makes you want to teach little kids. But then you remember how little kids are.
We're proud of you, boy.
Thanks, Dad. But part of this D- belongs to God.
At least gratitude is something he's learned. But disappointment is something every child has to go through. If only Lisa's didn't include something she loves, dying. Lisa finds a whale on the beach and tries everything in her power to save it. The squirt in the whale begins when Springfield is hit by a big storm, and the wind causes enormous damage to the town.
Look at the cool stuff they've washed up. Scuba goggles, medical waste.
Is there anything he won't touch? But then they hear a wailing noise, and, well...
Oh my god, a beached whale.
Oh, poor thing. Lisa immediately runs for help, hoping somebody will be able to get the whale back into the water.
Whales are mammals like us. They're sensitive and deeply intelligent.
Nerd!
Maybe the bullies aren't the best people to call when you need help. Lisa asks Homer and Marge for help, and while Homer wants to help her no questions asked, Marge is concerned.
Happened to read about beached whales in Springfield Geographic? It usually does not end well.
Marge says that they can't let Lisa get too attached and then disappointed, but I think it's a bit too late for that. They try and try to get Bluella back into the water, but with no luck. And they tried many, many things, none of them smart, but at least they tried.
You know, when I'm sad, I read something beautiful and true. Poetry.
Lisa, not even the whale likes poetry. Lisa falls asleep next to Bluella, and the next morning, Bart wakes her up with some happy news.
They're doing it!
Dorsal strap secured!
Tail clamps in position!
They finally got some experts to do it. They lift her up and drop her back into the ocean.
Goodbye, Bluella. Send me a postcard from Tierra del Fuego.
Aw, finally, Lisa won't be disappointed. Well, this is too good to be true. Lisa wakes up and realizes it was all just a dream.
Bluella? No.
Well, Marge was right. Homer apologizes to Lisa and tells her he really did try his best. He tells her he knows it must be hard when you discover your dad isn't perfect.
You can say that again.
I'm trying to be a sensitive father, you unwanted moron!
Whoa, too far, Homer. Too far. The town decides to use Bluella's remains for all sorts of products. And they blow her up. Good thing Lisa decided to stay home.
So clean how part of it just disappears like that.
Who's gonna tell him? Lisa starts hearing Bluella everywhere, and she thinks she's going crazy. But then...
They must be Bluella's children.
Aw, well, at least they survived. Then sharks appear and surround the whales. And there's no way for them to escape.
I guess it's just nature's way.
Nature is a toothless dying hag!
He isn't wrong. The Earth is dying. Homer and Lisa get onto a boat to save the whales. By killing sharks? How's that any better than letting nature take its course? Then some eco-activists show up and they won't let them hurt the sharks, thank God.
Being a true eco-activist means supporting every animal's struggle for life.
Except for cockroaches. Yeah.
Amen, sister. But then, as Homer was going to shoot the shark, he fell into the water.
The sharks must think you're a baby whale.
Ooh, a baby whale! My diet is working!
But you're still a whale. I wouldn't be so happy about that. But then, out of nowhere, a big whale shows up and saves Homer.
I'd do anything for a sweet, intelligent mammal, by which I mean you.
Aw, he even learned what a mammal is. Lisa has a big heart, and she tries to see the best in everything and everyone. That will cost her greatly when Lisa gets close to Sideshow Bob, but he ultimately betrays her trust. The Man Who Grew Too Much isn't entirely a sad episode, but to get to the teary part, first let's cover what happened before. Lisa learned what GMOs are. Yeah, scary.
Half of the vegetables sold in this country are genetically modified organisms.
And she finds out that their effect on humans is unknown. Like I said, scary. Lisa takes this information to a school meeting and Skinner plays a video about the dangers of GMO food.
Are we doomed to repeat an event that destroyed all human life?
I think that's a bit of an over-exaggeration. Lisa thinks the video isn't scientific, so she conducts her own research.
GMOs are resistant to pests. It's just possible that GMOs can actually end world hunger.
Well, when you put it like that, it does sound a lot better. A woman from the GMO lab reaches out to Lisa and invites her and the family to take a tour at the Monsarno Research Campus. She says that they're trying to change the world one molecule at a time, which Marge finds a bit too slow.
Everyone, 3 molecules at a time.
I'll be home late, honey. Yeah, 3 molecules now.
She then introduces the family to the chief scientist.
Sideshow Bob!
Dr. Sideshow Bob.
Real doctor or PhD?
Hey, it is a big difference. Sideshow Bob explained how we got there. Monsarno Labs asked for experimental subjects at the prison, and he volunteered. He quickly went from subject to scientist, and that's how we got there. Lisa feels a newfound appreciation for Sideshow Bob, and she feels as though he has really changed. Sideshow Bob asks Lisa to visit him again.
Let me show you. I really am trying to make a better world. Lisa, we can talk Walt Whitman.
That sounds amazing, honestly. But after all, it is Sideshow Bob. Lisa wants to visit him, but her family isn't too keen on that idea.
I refuse to concede a mind that thinks so much like mine can be all bad.
That's pretentious, but hey, aren't we all a bit narcissistic at our core? Lisa goes to see Sideshow Bob, but she can't help herself, so she asks him if he's plotting revenge.
I don't plot revenge anymore. It's like love. If it happens, it happens.
Is that supposed to be comforting in any way? The next day, Sideshow Bob and Lisa visit a museum, but an installation falls on them, or almost falls on them.
Oh.
Bob, you saved me! But how did you get the strength?
Bob admits that if he could genetically modify food, why couldn't he try to do the same for himself?
You've been changing your DNA? So, how strong are you?
Oh, that's strong. Lisa feels betrayed, but Bob is over it, and he tells her the real reason why he came to the museum. There's an exhibit with a lot of historically significant people, So, naturally, he's going to take DNA from these historical figures and add it to his own.
I shall be the wisest and strongest maniac ever to bring the blessings of dictatorship to the world!
Machiavelli, is that you? Bart shows up to save Lisa and stop Bob, so I guess all that talk about not wanting to kill them was for nothing?
Can't escape me! I've got grasshopper thighs and the sonar of a killer whale!
That's disturbing. Bob catches them, and he wants to kill them, but they find a way to stall for just a bit. And what better way than to get Bob to sing?
How dare you torture my children with Mozart!
No, Mozart.
I call all music Mozart!
Should have known better than to think Homer's cultured. They manage to escape from Bob and defeat him in a series of unserious events. But let's skip over that. Bob realizes that there's only one exit for him, the final one.
Farewell, Simpsons. And Lisa, when you're older, write an autobiographical novel trashing the rest of them.
Ah, that's some nice goodbye. And good advice. So, while Lisa being disappointed in her new friend Bob was sad to see, because I personally think they'd be good friends, there was an underlying plot happening the whole time. Ned was organizing some church manifestation, and we see how it pans out.
Ooh, laugh.
But only in his mind.
Sure do miss that laugh.
I miss her too.
And just these few seconds made me bawl my eyes out. Edna, we'll miss you till the day we die. Now that we've seen how the loss of a loved one hurts deeply, it'll be easier for us to imagine how Marge would feel, because Homer isn't doing so well in this next episode. Homer loses his job and gets depressed, thinking his life is not worth living. Homer's odyssey starts with Bart going on a school trip to the power plant. He sees Homer there and starts calling him to turn around and wave to him. But when he did,
Woo woo, I'm up here!
Oh, hi, boy!
this is why I never let passengers talk to me when I'm driving. This scene really traumatized me. So Homer was responsible for the accident and he got fired because of it. Marge and Lisa are trying to cheer him up and find a new job for him.
Supervising technician at the toxic waste dump.
I'm no supervising technician, I'm a technical supervisor.
Ain't that the same thing? Homer realizes he's never done anything worthwhile in his life, and he's quickly getting more and more depressed. Marge then reminds him that he's caused a number of industrial accidents, and he's always bounced back. And this gives him a boost of confidence. So he goes out to try and find a job, but with no luck.
I'm just a technical supervisor who cared too much.
Or cared too little to do the job right, but let's not bum him out more. That night, Marge tells Homer that he's been such a good provider for years, and maybe it's time for her to get back to her old job.
You never forget. It's just like riding a bicycle.
Hey, Mama, where's my fries already?
Oh, that's really demeaning. The kids try and get Homer to eat something, or at least get out of bed, but nothing seems worth it to Homer anymore. Not even food.
Unemployed, out of work, you sat around the house all day, but now it's dump time.
Now, beer's something worth getting up for. Unfortunately, there's no beer in the house, and Homer has no money, so he sinks even lower and gets Bart's piggy bank.
I smashed open my little boy's piggy bank, and for what? A few measly cents.
Maybe when you're out of this funk, you should work on that alcoholism. Just a thought. Homer thinks he has nothing more to live for, so he writes a goodbye note for his family.
I am an utter failure, and you'll be better off without me.
Yeah, that's the permanent goodbye. Homer takes a boulder and ties it to himself, ready to go and finish it all.
Looks like young Simpson is going to kill himself.
No, maybe not.
The man says that Homer is just taking his boulder out on a walk. That's a lousy joke. The kids wake Marge up to show her the note Homer left, so they run to catch him before he does it. As Homer was approaching the bridge, a car almost hit him.
Hey, you idiot! Watch where you're going!
Well, he could have ended your misery a lot more quickly than drowning. Marge and the kids go to the bridge just as Homer was about to jump, but then another car comes out of nowhere and almost hits them.
Boy, this intersection is dangerous. Someone ought to put a stop sign here.
Marge tells Homer that they all love him and he should never have thought about doing what he was about to do.
Now I have a purpose. I will not rest until this street gets a stop sign!
Wow, who would have thought that a car almost offing him and his whole family would be the thing that turned Homer's life around? Homer gets the stop sign for the street and a whole lot of other signs, because he wanted to be a meaningful part of society, but that wasn't enough.
There's a danger in this town that is bigger than all the dips put together. I'm talking about that!
He's not thinking about taking on Mr. Burns. Homer says he's gonna do just that.
Gee, Dad's a hero.
What'd you say, son?
Nothing.
And that sentence made it all worth it. Homer starts protesting in front of the plant, and a lot of people join him. Mr. Burns calls him for a one-on-one meeting.
I want you to be in charge of safety here at the plant.
Homer's thinking about it, but he can't let down the good cause.
I can't let Marge support the family.
Homer decides to take the job and be a better worker and a better husband and father.
I have just been appointed a new safety inspector at this very plant. With a big fat raise!
Well, don't judge him. Whoever said money can't buy happiness didn't know where to shop. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment down below with your favorite tearjerker moment for The Simpsons.